Hello, Beach Bobs. Welcome back to Stranded Survivors. My name's Matt. I'm one of your co-hosts.
And my name is Jericho. I'm a co-host of the Stranded Survivors podcast. And today we have a very special guest.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ned, or NeddyTheNoodle, and I make Ark videos. That's about it. How am I doing? Good, man. Just started fall break, just hanging out, finished the stream. What about you?
Doing all right. Fall break. You got any plans for fall break? You doing anything fun?
I got a family nephew's birthday to go to. Probably some interviews. Probably just a lot of coursework and and regular work, honestly. But I enjoy it. I have a lucky job, so can't complain.
Hey, that's good. If you like what you do, you don't work a day in your life, right?
Lush.
Yeah,
Right,
honestly,
so-
I mean that's kind of how it feels, to be honest. Yeah, that definitely resonates.
Jericho, what's new with you, bud?
Honestly, I mean, of course, we did a little podcast the other day. But honestly, really the only thing that's new today, I went to my grandma's 90th birthday party. She's just a savage out there. She's still working and everything. So, bless her.
For her. What'd you work at? Like, what does she do?
She just works at the library. She's like the head of the library. Wow. Yeah, she's a savage, man. I hope to be like her one day, But other than that, honestly, today work was I was outside with the boys all day at work. It was raining all day, outside all day, and we just did a couple fun activities like some archery. We carried wood on a gurney, and it's like a mile or two away. Not a gurney. I don't even know what little stretcher, military stretcher. And then we did like a fort building competition with the kids. Did a little rating on that. Of course we won. Of course you already know. But other than that, honestly, I've not been doing much. Matt, what have you been up to?
And, well, as you know, because you had the boys all day, I was obviously not teaching, which was nice for me.
Yep.
I got to stay home and play with the kids. So playing with your own kids, it's always a nice little break, a nice little relief. So got to spend the day pretending, loaded up the old Xbox so I could take a look at those direwolf pictures for the Discord, and ended up getting caught up playing a little bit of dinosaur poop, as my kid calls Ark.
Okay.
So, it was a nice day. We got to sit there and think about dinosaur poop for a little bit, which is always a nice little break,
Yeah.
And speaking of dinosaur poop, we do not have a great community crunch, but we do have information on it, so it's a little bit better than last week, I'm hearing. Can you give us a rundown real quick, Jericho, on a couple of the topics here?
Yeah, honestly, so a lot of the topics were, all they really were dossiers, or dossiers, whatever they're called. I missay it every time, but just for all the dinosaurs on all the different maps. Ned, have you seen anything on those? Have you really read into it on anything that'd be pretty unique in the creatures?
For the upcoming, I think the Shastosaurus is what everyone's got their eye on. The other creatures were cool, but once the Shastosaurus came along, everyone was like, "Yeah, this is the new king." I know.
Yeah, that's honestly the one that I'm going to be wanting to tame, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm excited.
How could you not? The mobile underwater base theory is such a cool concept. A mobile, livable submarine is just awesome to me.
I don't know how they're gonna pull it off, because it's a lot of programming that's gonna be really specific, I think.
Yeah, and they already got to work on everything. Ark 2, I mean, that's a lot of work to do. It's praise to them for doing all that work. I could never do that, so.
No, I don't know anything that goes into that, but it's a lot of spaghetti code, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're using ASA as the backbone of Ark 2, sort of. Not really, not the foundation, but they're gonna use a lot of the data and the experience they garner from ASA to help build Ark 2.
That's going to be super nice that they're going to get that healthy little platform to start off with, and hopefully they're able to work out a lot of the kinks. And we were all guinea pigs for the first couple years of the beta for Survival Evolved, so I really don't mind, and hopefully it means that we're going to have a really smooth release of Ark 2.
I'm still excited. Definitely oscillates. I know that sometimes I'd say excitement's pretty high right now. Obviously with the upcoming release, it was definitely very far down. Maybe a month or 2 months ago, I put out a video called "How to Create a Toxic Community: Ark Survival Evolved," and that was at an all-time just so ready to quit entirely. But I think a lot of creators will end up in a place where if they rely on it for income, you're kind of stuck with it. If they're like, if they don't immediately have another option.
I 100% agree with that.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
I've seen a lot of
I hadn't
people
thought about that.
in that position because it takes a lot of element. It takes luck and skill and experience, but definitely that luck is not. It's risky. It takes these elements to be able to secure a different type of content you're making. If you want to ditch a game, and yeah, so Nightingale is a upcoming. It's like a sort of fantasy Victorian era survival game that is being developed and published by Inflection Studios, I believe, or Inflection Games. And I hadn't really heard of them until the announcement trailer had come out at the Game Awards for 2021. And you may have seen it. There's like this iconic woman in like a dress, Victorian dress, and she has a revolver. And there's like some creepy monsters, and she goes through a portal. But basically, you play as like a realm walker, and you explore these different kinds of worlds. And I think that it's coming out into early access, and it's going to be what we can assume is actually pretty polished at that early access launch in February of 2024. So I'm definitely I've been in communication with some people. I get into it. It's just some people.
There you go.
Over there, and I'm excited
Okay.
to partake in Nightingale in some way.
That's super awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that.
I think that'd be pretty cool. And honestly, so are you going to be like keeping it on the same channel, you think, like on your same YouTube channel?
Yeah, actually, thought about that. I think that especially, I mean, depending on how ASA does,
yeah,
it might be a mix of both. I'll eventually start to introduce Nightingale on the channel, and then if it does well, it might be a battle between Nightingale and Ark, and whichever one does better, and then I may end up just prioritizing one over the other. But we'll see. We're talking about month-long timescales.
I can imagine, like you said, that's a whole science in and of itself, trying to figure out the analytics of which direction to go.
I would love to, for anyone who wants to figure out how to make money online, I would love to give them tangible, useful information, because what you do find online is an industry of your Andrew Tate and your efficiency production gurus, and you're like, oh, here's your top 10 tips on how to make money online. Basically just like scamming the industry.
Yep.
But what I would love to do is actually help give people any insight, any useful insight into how you actually build a business in this like space that we can broadly just call like this content creation space, which is a kind of vague thing, but you guys know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that process going to look like to you?
For Nightingale, you mean, or just
for helping educate people, and is that something that you're going to dive into, like a coaching way, or do you think that you would maybe make a series on those tangible ways?
Yeah. So I was actually just going to mention I'm doing a panel soon at my college where I'm going to be talking about that, and so it's just something I've been thinking a lot more about recently. And as far as like putting out videos on that kind of thing or coaching, to me that does fall into almost the same category as some of these people that I just sort of threw under the rug, or not even. It's very easy to throw the big Tate brother under the rug, obviously, but the general just generic sort of guru financial advisor people. I don't want to enter into that territory. If I can do that in a way that's not like offering some kind of fake service that's just losing people more money than they're ever going to make back, then sure, I'd do it. But otherwise, I have no interest in making money by like scamming people, I guess, which is I think a lot of the time what the consulting industry does.
You're not wrong. It seems to be that you know, the free consultations are a great way for them to set you up to nickel and dime you later. So you're not wrong, and I commend you for, you know, not trying to take advantage of people that are looking to better themselves. Good for you, man.
Yeah, it's just boring. I get like it, and also just like it would make me, and I think most people feel kind of icky. Lucky enough to be able to make money from making art and
This is
you know, that's what you can call videos, and managing projects and building things. And you know, that's enough for me. I'm just glad I'm able to be in that position and don't need to turn to that, because I guess some people are desperate. And maybe that's why some people turn to that. They're like, I'll start up my scamming guru business because I have no money and I can't figure out how to become a good manager or something. So
Look at that. Wisdom being dropped from old Ned here.
thank you.
Jericho, do we have anything else on the community crunch here, or is that like the most exciting thing we had on
That's
there?
literally pretty much all we have. It's just a pretty plain and simple community crunch here. So I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I'm hoping we hear something crazy. I'm hoping maybe we even see some gameplay, some screenshots. I don't know. I'm next one, I guarantee you, is going to be a banger in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, God, I'm just reading the comments. I think it'll be...
The good ones fill us in here, man.
I don't know. I'm too traumatized. Say nothing.
So, Ned, you say, I mean, very accurately say, making videos, making these projects and stuff, it's art. It's an art form. It is a science all mixed together into one beautiful brand of expression. But out of all the things you've done, you've got a lot of videos on your channel. Which project that you have done is your favorite, and what was special about it to you in your eyes?
It's a really nice question. Thanks for asking. You know, I think it's easy to... So the video I just put out on the full story of Ark, I'd say that's probably the magnum opus of the entire channel so far. So we're doing this interview right after that having happened. It's the most successful video I've ever published. So I think it's a little hard to answer that because my judgment's a little clouded because it's very successful.
Yep.
But that doesn't... As far as the actual, what was most gritty and there's a sort of kind of gritty that has come with the survival stories, which is the main kind of project that the channel had focused on. And we actually finished it up, much to the disappointment of a lot of people, because we didn't do Extinction, and people were like, wait, you forgot Extinction. I think I forgot, bro. It was 2 years ago. So probably the best, the complete aberration survival stories. We released them, we drip fed them in 3 parts over about 1.5 years. That's how long it took to create them. And that was worked on it just nonstop. We didn't really take breaks. We maybe took a week or 2 in between each part. But just had a really amazing team with me. We were pretty small, and we were pretty low budget too. But it was a combination of a lot of talented modders that essentially created extra assets that we would use, as well as, you know, I learned a lot of systems within the Ark dev kit as well, like the matinee system, which is, you know, if you guys are familiar with the Ascension, you know, like the island Ascension and the Scorch and Aberration, all those cutscenes, that's what they used to make them. It's called the matinee system. And so I used that and started to learn that for some of the sequences in the survival stories, and it just meant a lot to me because it was a real eye opener on the importance of leadership and how to effectively manage people. Because the reason why projects like that fail is because the guy at the top or the girl or whoever's leading it didn't do their job right. That's why they fail. It's not because of the people under them. It's because they did not effectively figure out what they were doing and how to do it. And so we all came out of that sort of tunnel exhausted, and we all learned a lot. And I'm just super... It's weird to describe to people out in the world, because like describing the survival stories is not something I do often because it's a little hard. It's like, yeah, you ever seen Red versus Blue? Right. No, you haven't? All right. I guess that's the end of this conversation. But you know, regardless, the experience that I got from that project was just so important to me in like how to manage people, that it's the best one. Sorry, long answer. But...
No, that's a good answer. Absolutely. That's a lifelong skill type of thing that's going to translate into everything else that you do in life. So, I mean, that's absolutely pivotal experience in your life, man. That's really cool.
It's lucky. Got lucky. Got super lucky. That's the way I think about it.
Oh, don't be so modest. You worked hard to get to that point before it even started, so don't you dare call it luck, sir.
Okay, well, it's not like Fallout luck. Okay, it's not like straight luck. It's just a decent amount of luck and like the genetics to not have like a mental collapse to make it to where I couldn't lead people, I guess. Lucky to have had that, because I've definitely seen people that just crack under pressure and they implode and they can't lead effectively. They can't do it. Maybe their ego gets in the way and they cannot navigate around that. And I just feel lucky to have been able to. It's like the right circumstances that sort of bred this ability to figure out how to lead without just falling apart, I guess.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. So, when you're in the process of compiling all of the Ark, I understand like you used the cinematics and like had a lot of help from coders. You had a huge team. That had to be absolutely extensive work nonetheless to like compile all that information. So did you rely on like the Wikipedia? Did you go through and find every explorer note and like have to put them in chronological order and read them through that way? Like, what was the process of comprehending the story? Because a lot of people don't even understand how the Ark story works.
Man, it's also a very good question. It's hard not to laugh because it's such a grueling process, and there's so few people that it's like going into the back rooms. You're just like the only person, but it's like a back rooms library of Ark Explorer notes. Nobody else is there because nobody else gives a shit.
Yep.
Like, why would you read these dumb notes in this game? But yeah, I mean, I had some help from people every now and then. You would have short meetings where I would sort of brainstorm interpretations. If I was confused by the way that one of the characters, like Elena, was writing about a certain place, I was like, okay, so we need to figure out, for the sake of like, because we need to know what we're building mod and map wise, so we need to know what to put in the agenda. Like, what is the best interpretation of what Helena just said? Like glowing lights and the dark halls and whatever, because we have to build entire areas that don't even exist in the game because they explain them in the lore, but they never made these maps. So then after we interpret them sometimes, but for the most part, it was pretty straightforward. It was just a lot of reading. And luckily, I've been pretty institutionalized by college to where I was able to do this alongside college. And even though my degree is in journalism, there's slight crossover with video production and stuff and writing. And so I got used to reading and a lot of news, and then it was easy to read all these Explorer notes. And I also just obsess very easily over things. So it's easy to obsess over those notes, those details. And I think that's, at the end of the day, like what you have to do to put it all together. You have to be very obsessive about the details. So for the most part, I think I was mostly alone in terms of interpreting everything. I had a couple groups every now and then that would help me out. For Aberration, Golden Drop helped a lot with some of the interpretation, and she was a big sort of lead designer in terms of she built Normality, which was the pre-ab, pre-destroyed ab map that we built. But there's too many notes in that freaking game, dude.
Honestly, I'm only going to the notes for the XP. I'm not even looking at those things. I'm just running away.
Yeah.
That is blasphemy. I'm such a junkie for lore in every single game that I play, and that probably comes from my Dungeons and Dragons background. I'm a huge D&D nerd, so anytime I have an opportunity to understand the universe that I'm playing in, it helps me get so much more immersed.
That's awesome.
In the process, like we talked about, a ruling process for you to go through many dang notes in this entire game to begin with. So you had to get like a really personal attachment to these characters. You probably felt like you almost knew them on your actual personal level. Which character was your favorite out of all the historical ones you learned about? Who's the best survivor in your opinion?
So, dude, you're right on the nail. I don't know. You're really good at this. Seriously. As an interviewer, I've interviewed probably over 100 or 200 people in person with microphones, and you're really good at these questions. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
as far as what, so yes, I did. To answer in 2 parts, I did get very close and personal with these characters. I would say I got the closest to Rockwell. There were several month-long stretches where I felt like I was going completely insane because I would wake up and just start talking in his voice just to myself. Because like, you know, when you live alone, I think probably a lot of people just like will just like yell. Maybe I'm alone, I don't know. But surely I think a lot of people act really goofy just if they live alone, and I do live alone.
Yep.
So, you know, I would just like start rambling to myself in this Rockwell impression, just like subconsciously, like just started to become so. The more and more insane he got in the story, it felt like the more insane I was getting. It was alarming. But my favorite character is probably Diana.
Heath Ledger Joker.
What'd you say?
I said a Heath Ledger Joker moment, getting too invested in the character, huh?
Yeah, something like that. And I didn't even voice him, thankfully. But yeah, Diana's probably my favorite character. She's just and the reason, I guess it's a little selfish maybe, or you know, selfish, but sort of, I like characters that that are maybe like me in some ways, and so I like her because she's a really effective leader, and you know, she sort of does what has to be done, and that leads to a lot of things that happened. I don't know if it's really much of a spoiler to say exactly what happens to any of the other characters, but she's great as a character.
No. Correct me if I'm wrong, she was the pilot that crashed into the boundary on the island, right?
On Aberration, before they destroyed it, and then she helped blow it up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's definitely a super awesome character. She's one that I'm not overly familiar with, to be honest with you, but she is definitely super important from all the different like connections that I've made through other people on her.
Santiago.
He's fun.
Santiago. He's a whole can of worms and a half. So this poor man, he has been through it. Is this poor man? Because I mean, sure, he had to relive his own death. Sure, he, you know, got manipulated and was forced to relive and forget some things he didn't want to. But he also kind of, you know, ruined and destroyed the Earth and single-handedly tipped the war into a pretty chaotic direction. So is it poor Santiago?
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, to be fair, yeah, like he's pretty callous. He's pretty selfish. You know, I think you can appreciate him later on in Extinction before he dies. Spoiler alert. Not that he is dead for good because he respawned a million times. He's Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's generally not a super. He's like the Dr. House of the Ark universe, I'd say. If you've ever seen House MD, sarcastic, sardonic. What's the actor's name? I don't know if y'all have seen House.
Nope.
Yep.
Damn. You have?
What? You haven't seen House?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like House if he was
I used
a bit
to love
younger.
House.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Okay, see, I can respect that.
Man, y'all two
I
got
can
everything
respect
in
somebody
common.
who will tell you how it is, and we just become best friends. So, yeah, I mean, he's callous. I mean, the sacrifice he made at the end of his most recent death and before this most recent rebirth was noble and all, but I don't think it really takes away from what he's done. What do you think it's going to mean for, because I mean, we've seen from that itty-bitty little snippet we have in the trailer of Ark 2, we've seen like him sitting there with a tribe with his daughter that's, you know, probably not really his daughter, but do you think that this means we're going to see kind of like, I don't know if you ever played Far Cry Primal, but they had like the tribe system going on there, sort of like the Red Dead Redemption 2 camp. Do you think we're going to see something like that where you're going to have these NPCs living with you in a camp situation at your base, or do you think that that's just like something in the trailer?
Probably that was for the purposes of kind of hyping up the story, so something more like that we just see in the trailer. Maybe in the single player mode. I think that we've had, you know, like about 2 or 3, almost 3 years actually to be speculating on Ark 2, and we really haven't gotten anything else since probably like the summer of 2021.
hiding in the corner.
I think. God, has it been that long?
It probably has.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
sounds about right.
I think part of it is they don't know what they're doing
So I've got a
with
house
this
with no
direction.
roof.
So I've definitely
What do you do for that?
speculated a lot in my time
Okay.
since it's been announced,
We know.
and there isn't much there. It's just Vin Diesel and Mika, his daughter,
Oh,
and
stand up.
they record
Hold
all the elements of the
What
promotional
have I got
material
that can carry
they've
shit
put out.
and
I can
stuff?
break it all down into just. I know exactly what's not in the sense of I know what this universe is. It's just like I know what
Back it up.
the promotional material is. I know exactly how they like made it. I know when they. I don't know if y'all have seen the there's like a Ark 2 trailer. It was like the second one. It's like a puddle, some planets and a reflection. Then it goes up to like a dodo bird picking out an implant. And Vin Diesel eventually comes into the Rex. But really, it's just like some random
There you go,
obscure
nice.
voiceover with
Easy
Mika where
peasy.
she's like,
Oh,
since we got to a rot, since this planet, we call it a rot. And then my dad's going to keep us safe from the dinosaurs. And it's just like a tech demo that has that's so vague that it could just be anything. So I think maybe they have no idea what they're doing with the story at this point. Maybe they figured it out this year. Who knows? Yeah, that's
That's a scary thought that they have no idea what they're doing with the story yet.
Yeah, I mean, they do have Peter Freeze, which is his last name is actually it's spelled like fries, like French fries, but it's Freeze. He told me, and it's on his plate. But he's pretty cool. I asked him a couple questions about the Ark lore in finishing up the full story video because I wanted to make sure it was as accurate as possible. So I've gotten input from actually Mark Soskin and Peter Freeze, both the writers.
Oh wow.
David Noonan also worked on it, but he. Okay, I'm not trying to throw shade at him, but I'm pretty sure he was just like a developer in the back rooms. They were like, "Can you voice the master controller? Is he British?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then he proceeded to do like the worst British accent for a boss ever. But I don't know the guy.
That's fair.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not a fantastic one, but.
So Ned, other than we talked about a couple lore things, which we'll talk about later probably still, but other than that, for Ark Survival Ascended, what's the most thing you're looking forward to in that game in general?
Probably machinima tools. So probably tools that allow people to build sequences and control variables. Well, by variables I mean like control objects that maybe sort of survivor characters and dinosaurs and stuff like that in a way that we don't have with Survival Evolved. This is something that I actually suggested to them, so it might have made it in, or it might make it in at some point. But basically tools that, if you've ever seen like Minecraft build videos where they have like camera that's just floating around, and it's very smooth while there's like Lego brick building, super mega fast, that kind of thing. Because right now, all it exists is with the matinee system and stuff that you do behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, of course, I don't know what all goes into that, but I mean, that sounds like a great opportunity just to do multiple things for like creators and just different things like that.
For sure.
Definitely gonna be a game changer for creators.
And that I would view it very much as a stepping stone. I think that people should view, because it's not too late, especially today's end. A lot of people are coming back to the community years ago. You're seeing a lot of popularity recently, and I think that's sort of obvious why that's happening. But so it's not too late. People can make a lot of money just essentially piggybacking off Ark like I did and like so many other people did. But I think that money is not safe. Rather, it's very risky. And it should be seen as very much a stepping stone. Risky in the sense that, I mean, myself and many other creators over the summer experienced a pretty big drought. Unless you were Mr. Miola pumping out just as always, there's very few people that are that are so in touch with what they're able to leverage is saying nothing and releasing a rock picture, which at least is better than what they're releasing now. But but it's almost more insulting, and not to discourage them. It's a weird balance, but yeah, that content drought hit some people, including myself, and that was what brought me to being like, well, I think I might just drop Ark altogether a couple months ago.
Oh, here it is.
But yeah, so ASA, yeah, people will come and they will make stuff and they will make money, and I encourage them to do it effectively and team up, collaborate with people, lead, and also don't feel secure ever.
Yeah.
Because it's not this being an Ark YouTuber, it doesn't matter if you're Syntac. One day he can be doing just fine, and then the next he's on Twitter writing a giant 16-paragraph tweet about how a server provider is about to have a giant monopoly over, and it's a competitor to his, right? And that eats into your revenue to a degree, but then you can also have major changes where, you know, like with the official server shutting down. If someone was making some income off of making official server videos and they were really good at it, if we're talking like the Syntac of official servers, maybe there is one out there, I don't know, I'm not familiar with PvP, but that wildcard just shut them all down, all of them. And obviously you can understand why they did that, but that just cut off that theoretical person's entire
hiding stone.
There's no more content there, if there was any to begin with. So at the end of the day, the wildcard and any developer is not obligated to be producing content and working on a schedule that is benefiting their creators. And so it's very much a kind of like relationship that's one-sided. And I think everyone should be wary of that. Just be mindful of it.
Yes, I agree, right? But the thing that I will say, of course, you know, we're just a podcast as of now, but, you know, they started to come out with the arcade program, and it seems like from a couple of the community crunches, it seems like they actually want to start working with creators more. Do you think that is going to, like, help boost creators, or what do you think on that topic?
I think it's, I mean, I made it into the program. If they want to revoke anything for me saying this, then great. I couldn't really care less. You know? But I think it's pretty silly. It's a pretty goofy program.
Okay.
It's pretty meaningless. I don't necessarily not to like crap on anyone that's excited about having gotten in, but I just think that there tends to be these corporate marketing campaigns that sometimes they can be slightly effective, maybe in the sense of bringing people into a common group or something, but it's run by Snail. Doesn't take any amount of research to really understand what that means, or I guess the overarching side effect of that. But the short term, what that means is like I don't think we're really going to see a lot of initiative from them, especially considering what we've been sent since being in the program. They've emailed me a couple times. They're like, they'll send me these shorts. They're like, you can use this for content, and then it's just this like 3-year-old Ark Survival Evolved video that's like crappily cropped into a short, and they're like, wow, hype for ASA, and then they like show the logo or so. It's like made by a 5-year-old that just like discovered Premiere Pro that they hired.
No.
But you know, it's just they don't know what they're doing, I think is what I would say with this arcade program. Now they are going to host something you may have heard in Las Vegas at some kind of convention center on the October 20th through the 22nd, I believe. If for whatever reason they just decide to be showing off ASA there or something, or letting people play it, that would just be such a bizarre 180. I don't expect that. I expect not much from it, to be honest. I'm definitely not going to fly out there.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just feel like it's a Sunday.
But yeah, I think the program in general is maybe, if anything, it is useful to them in a way of gathering data, to gather excitement. And I definitely noticed in their Discord that there is a lot of people that range from, it's mostly either people who say they will be creators or very small creators, maybe the occasional larger creator I've seen in there, but it's a lot of maybe like fresh meat, you could say, and I've just never seen it on that scale myself, like ever. So that's fascinating to look at.
Yeah. So what do you think that, Wildcard or Snail Games technically can do to actually be able to boost their creators? Like, I think one thing they personally can do is that they can like partner with creators, for example, like you, right? And partner with those creators that are like either say have, those more subscribers or whatever it is, right? And just partner with them and be able to release content. Other than that, do you have any ideas on what you think they should do?
Could you elaborate a little bit with like partner? What do you mean by partner? Like just promote in like giving them keys or working with them on.
So kind of like working with these creators, right? Kind of building a relationship with the creators, like being able to build that relationship with you, so maybe you can release like exclusive content on your channel, like to be able to hype things up because you have certain viewers compared to them, and just different things like that.
Gotcha. I mean that. So yeah, you're asking what other things could they do?
Yeah.
That would be I wouldn't put it past them to do something like what you just described. That's actually rather on par with what would probably do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that. But otherwise, I mean, what they could honestly do to creators is to, if they really want to be making money, and I mean, it's free marketing. That's what all of us are doing. Anyone who's making art content is like I said, it's this one-way thing, but it's also like everyone's kind of getting paid, but it's also very risky for the ones who are on the side of the glass that they can't be hurt on, I guess, or like they don't have to be hurt on.
Yeah.
Like devs don't have to care about them if their channel's flopping.
Yeah.
But what would, really help, I think, tangibly is like if they actually decided to invest in sort of guiding. It's, I guess, maybe a little similar to what you described, but guiding creators on like how to effectively market better and create create videos that are actually filling a need and that are going to succeed because of that. Because it's one of the like most fundamental things in marketing is like you fill it, and that's what they're doing. And if they're not doing that, that is where most creators end up in this sort of
every single one. I've done loads.
Ditch, I guess. It's like maybe not ditch is a rather aggressive way of putting it, but a lot of creators just sort of exist in a threshold or in a like a hole, I guess, where they can't. Maybe it's hard to escape. Where it's just like I am creating content that nobody's watching, and I can't understand why. Like Let's Play, like you'll see this a lot in oversaturated genres. There's just so much of it, and most of the people producing it don't understand why any of the successful versions of it even succeed in the first place, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good answer. I think that content creators, especially these smaller ones, definitely need a way to be able to, like you said, market themselves, because like, I mean, even us, like, I don't fully know how to market myself. I mean, that'd be just a nice little thing to know. I mean, I know a couple things just from, here and there, but I agree. I think that's a pretty genius plan. Maybe you should just go market for, maybe not for Snail Games. Maybe, if Wildcard ever splits off to themselves again, you can go do that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun. I'm definitely become interested in it as I've taken some more classes on it. And I don't know. I'm just, it's a rather like, it's sort of a switch flipping thing, because early on, like a year ago, I had no idea what made a good thumbnail or like how to get people to watch my videos. It was just like I was drunkenly stumbling into sometimes the right videos that people would want to watch. And I would love to better inform people on like how to do that effectively, because it's possible. It is, someone, either of you said sort of earlier, it is kind of a science, but it's a science that needs to be very specific and selective and almost personal. So very much personal. So yeah, love to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So in a world where, it's getting more personal, you have to find that area you can survive in. And like you had mentioned, the developers are not concerned about making content that's going to be good for streamers. I mean, sure, it helps their numbers and sure, it helps keep the community active, but it's not their main priority, and it's not even like top 5 thoughts for them. So do you think that with the partnership with Overwolf that was recently announced, that's going to have cross-platform modding? So like all the mods on the PC are going to eventually be ported in. Full blueprints for all the Survival Evolved ones are going to be transported right over. Xbox players, PS5 players will all be able to enjoy all these PC mods. Do you think that's going to open up more niche areas for these streamers to develop content that might be more attractive to people based on like specific interests?
Yeah, that's actually man. Why do you have such good questions? Okay, that's the best question ever, because I don't know if you guys saw what Fortnite did recently, but if you look at Roblox or Fortnite, what they're trying, well, Roblox has been doing this for many years, where they've this platform and they really take advantage of. It is pretty disgusting, to be honest. They exploit so many developers that are in a similar situation to this sort of content creator thing, but almost a little different. Excuse me, a little different because they're developers. But essentially, what they're trying to do in Roblox or Fortnite, the Fortnite sort of kit thing that Epic is doing, or it's ASA. All three are having this shared similarity where they're trying to create an ecosystem for creation. So they can have, it's not quite vertical integration, but they're trying to have their hands in all the cookie jars as much as possible of all these modders. They're trying to give the modders a wallet in the first place, and then also have their thumb stuck into the wallet a little bit. That's a weird analogy, but you get what I mean. So,
Sense.
What's baffling, and the reason why I'm so fascinated by this question, is because I don't know if you guys are familiar with virtual reality games, or either of you heard of Boneworks or Bone Lab?
Never heard of Bone Lab?
No.
But
don't worry about it.
Virtual
it's
reality
obscure.
is amazing.
Yeah, VR games have very low player counts statistically. If you look at a website like Steam Charts, and Bone Lab has 207 concurrent players playing right now. Okay, very low number compared to Ark's like 47,000 or whatever right now, something like that. And yet, what's insane is that if you go to YouTube and you search up Bone Lab content, you will find shorts and videos in the past couple weeks or months that have upwards of 5 million views, when this game has like 200 players. Now, hold on, just to clarify, I don't know the numbers of the, because it's cross. I think it's on PC, Steam, and then it's also on like the Oculus Quest or whatever, the headset. But surely, probably there's similar numbers, I would assume. I don't have the data, but we're talking about a very small player base for a ginormous viewer base, and part of that is because Bone Lab has a giant modding community. It was, in fact, the game was designed around having huge modding integration, compared to its predecessor, which wasn't so much like that. And you can compare them similarly to Ark Survival Evolved. You know, they built in the modding workshop and the dev kit very early on, but ASA is building it in to begin with all this, the Overwolf and the CurseForge and the cross-platform of mods and everything. So that suggests to me that if ASA is a big success, especially with the modding, people will be able to create virtually anything, and essentially it will become a platform to where people can then create entire story maps or horror maps or adventure maps. You know, anything. They can put commercialized content in, which I'm not sure how legal battles would work there, but it would just explode outside of the like. It doesn't just appeal to dinosaur nerds anymore. It appeals to like 5-year-olds that see Spider-Man, and you put Spider-Man in Ark, and you also make web slinging and so on, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, especially I think for Ark, and I've talked about that with Matt just a little bit before. It's just like, you know, having that and having these different people come that are doing modding and different things like that. Like you said, it just brings a whole different community, and it's not just all about Ark. You can play Pokemon, like you said, Spider-Man. There's just a lot more interest in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the question that I was going to ask was that, with your content creation, I know you talked about a little bit like Nightingale's coming out, you know, Ark Survival Ascended. Of course, you'll probably play it by ear on like how things do. But like, where do you see your content creation going just within like the next even couple months or the next year?
So stability is a big thing for me right now. I've got 2 editors at this point. I've got one that does full videos with me. It's sort of how we categorize them. And then I've got a shorts editor. And this has been a very slow addition into sort of my team. I've also got essentially I created an actual official like LLC company,
Wow.
like a real business, for just convenience sake. Once you get to a certain size, you want to not be having your YouTube money going into your personal bank account. So, segmenting off and actually being disconnected from my business in a sense of becoming a CEO was desirable, like very useful. I think you want to do that at some point. But so that was sort of the first step into gaining stability, because at the start of this year, when we were working on finishing up the survival stories, I wanted to do a lot of things. I was like, oh wow, I actually have a lot of ambitions. I'd love to, because I was dipping into working with the mapping tools, because we were doing a lot of dev work, and sometimes I was trying to pick up for anyone who couldn't get some work done, because I was like, we got a deadline, we want to stick to it. If you can't do it in time, that's fine. Let me carry as much of the burden as possible. In some cases, that wasn't what a manager should necessarily do. You shouldn't take it all on, or like so much of it on. But that just got me thinking into like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. Maybe I want to make games, maybe I want to make maps and make stories and do outside of videos. But you got to take these things kind of slow. I'm only 21. I'm almost 22 next month. I've got a lot of time to worry about. So to make games, if I want to do that in a couple of years or something. So right now it's just focusing on stability. The long answer, needless to say, more of what I did maybe 2 years ago is what I'll be focusing on with ASA, which is more guides, sort of these highly edited, higher production value guides, as well as some different comparison videos between ASE and ASA, and probably a lot of machinima, a lot of sequences, stuff that is unique and that other people are not going to be doing. That's always what I'm trying to do, is just unique stuff that you can't find anywhere else. Sometimes I gotta keep that mysterious.
Yeah, you gotta keep that close to your chest, because you don't want anybody taking any of those creative ideas you got there.
More or less. I think sometimes people get a little paranoid with it, and I get that, but I think there's a degree of like, okay, is anyone really gonna take your idea, man? Versus like some things you do keep secret. Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, in a world where you're trying to create unique content and stuff, sometimes a little collaboration helps. Are there any Ark content creators out there that you're sitting there going, oh man, I would work with this person and do this project?
I've probably met all of them, to be honest. All of the ones that not to sort of diss on everyone basically, but I've worked with Raz a couple times in the past. We haven't done anything in a long time. Raz Clark, and I. He's great though. He's a Mr. Miola. I did some work for him, some commissions. Generally, I think as far as collaborations go, I like to do commissions and sequences for people, and anything that's sort of skits and stuff. In particular, that have been hard to up to, I guess. Syntax would probably be one of them. He's he's at the top as far as English creators go. Anyone who speaks primarily English, Syntax probably the number one in the world for Ark creators. And so, I think it could be fun to work with him. I would say that I don't think he's interested a lot of the time in working on projects that aren't just playing Ark, playing it in some new way. And that very much buds with, and it sort of goes against what I'm interested in, because I like to do stuff that nobody's done before, whereas Syntax is more, let's just play the game in a new wacky way, as opposed to sort of making some content you otherwise wouldn't. He's more personality based, I guess. Not to discredit his work. It's what he does. I think what he leverages the most is his voiceover talent and his ability to consistently talk, which is it's not been something I've thought of myself as good at this place in the past couple years. Yeah, maybe Syntax, maybe Mr. Miola, I don't know. I've just been lucky enough to work with a lot of people, so it's hard to... Oh, Flinger Foo, man, I always loved that guy, but I've never spoon and
That's awesome. I am not familiar with Flinger Foo, but I need to look into him apparently.
He's cool. He's just wholesome. He just doesn't get bored of Ark. It's actually impressive. He's been playing it for like 8 years straight, just unwavering determination.
How long have you been playing Ark for?
Same time. Well, the day it came out into early access, June 2nd, 2015. So
I expected nothing less.
Sounded like, hey guys, like, you know, this sort of real. Yeah. If you have kids, once they're 13, that is basically what I think.
Well, hey man, you made it glow up.
Where would you go? So I mean, day one early access, we all have a story. Everybody has a story. Why did you pick that game up? This addictive drug of a game. Why did you download it? What was the motive to even start playing this game for you?
Well, I'll be honest. I liked that you could drag the bodies around. That was literally the only reason I got the game. I'm not even kidding. I thought the graphics looked nice, but otherwise that was. So I played a lot of Rust, and I got really annoyed that when you logged off, you just fall over and you can't drag the body. You can kill them. There's no. I saw that in one of the early Q&As. They were like before the game came out in May of 2015 or something, and they're like, "Yeah, you can drag bodies around." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I don't know why I was so excited, but yeah, drag the dinosaurs, the dead dinosaurs, and then I even liked them. I got Ark, but then I started learning all their names, and then I got very obsessed with them. So yeah, weird.
This game has created junior paleontologists out of so many people. Like, so many people I know have gotten their obsession with dinosaurs from this game.
Yeah, 100%. I met one of them actually in talking to those random college students. One of them played Ark, and he got all the creatures right, and I was like, "Here's $10, did it." And I was like, "I've never seen someone that actually knew Therizino, Dilo." I think I showed him a Pteranodon as well.
Wow, I mean, good for him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
What is your favorite dino? Because I mean, like, you've seen them all, you named them all. What's your favorite one? Go to and why?
Okay, well, I've gotten this question a lot, and my go-to response is just the trilobite, because my persona is obsessed with trilobites. That's actually the logo, the shape, and shaped like a trilobite. But
oh my gosh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, but in reality, probably the thing I really like the versatility. They're such a good size, I feel like, and they're so dangerous. It's just a sick mount. I always like that.
You and Matt are best friends now again, because that's something that's definitely his favorite.
Really?
So glad my camera's not on. I'm over here dancing and jamming out. Nobody ever answers that way. The Theory is by far the best dinosaur in Ark. I don't care how dangerous it is. It will always be my little tickle chicken.
Yeah, it's cool. It's sweet. Dude, and it's so good at bosses. Like, you can basically take it into like all 3 island bosses, I think. Definitely the dragon, Megapithecus, and then maybe the broodmother if they were good enough. But yeah.
Have you taken any like really weird ones into boss fights? You say you can take the Theories into all the island ones. Have you ever, like, I know it's more of like a syntax quirky way to play type of thing, but have you ever done the old, I wonder if we could pull it off with X, Y, and Z?
No, but I've always wanted to. It was always like, in the same way that a lot of people, I feel like I'll get a lot of comments, people like, "Oh, you just," like on the lore video, for example, like me sitting here having never done any bosses, whereas you're like describing and then you killed the bosses, and like describing the player's journey or whatever. But so a lot of people don't end up even doing any bosses, but what I end up wishing I did but never doing is having like read any wacky things. There's some guy on Twitter named Nathan something, and he's obsessed with Pachycephalosaurus, the little like head-butting things that are like the size of a dilo.
Wow.
And he's bred them on like official. I'm pretty sure he got like blue ones. He's got all different colors, but they're super powerful. And I always thought it was super cool, and I always wished that I had like bred some weird creature like that, or like spiders or some weird creature, and made them like super powerful through breeding. I don't know. I just thought that was always cool, but I just never did it because I'm bad at breeding. Terrible.
You're bad at breeding? What? What?
Yeah.
You're talking to a breeder here, so what? How can someone be bad at breeding? I'm confused.
I just never have the attention span for it. Like,
Let's go hunt.
I can't really function in Ark without my tribe, which is a group of buddies I've known for a couple years now, and we always tend to get back together and just kill it. But I'm always the farmer. Like, I just like gather resources for everyone, and explore, and collect a team, probably guess. And then I get base, and my Udi's babies just starve to death, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. So
Those things were there.
yeah, it's just hard. My brain. Maybe I could do it now, like being rather medicated, I guess. You know, right term. Since I haven't played in a long time, and with ASA, we're gonna be playing through all of their games. So that's one of the types of videos where we work on. So maybe
I'm so excited for ASAs, like to play the game fresh from the beginning, because I feel like we have such minimal information, and sure, they're porting a bunch of the basic stuff over, and it's all going to be relatively close to the same thing, but it has the illusion of starting fresh and playing the game for the first time, you know?
Yeah, and they'll have a lot. I think breeding's gonna work kind of different too, and they also have babies in the wild and stuff. So
Yes.
pretty crazy. Imagine if there was
What's your
baby
thought on it?
wyverns on Scorched Earth, like outside of the nest. That would kind of defeat the purpose, but of like the nest. But just
I think that would actually be a cool addition to. I don't think it would defeat the purpose, because if you think about it, you put an egg in the center of it, and say there's 2 or 3 baby wyverns in there that are going to attack you as soon as you get off of your mount to try to pick that egg up. Then you're fighting off baby wyverns. Then mama's going to come around the corner.
yeah.
Do you think the baby wild animals are going to be tameable, or do you think they're just going to be like claimable, tameable, or none of the above?
Yeah, maybe tameable if you like make them orphans or something. Some disturbing mechanic that's like, even worse than the way that you tame things is through violence. I don't know.
We have juvenile and baby wild. Are they Kairukus? Is that what they're called? The penguins? They have juvenile wild ones in Survival Evolved, and I don't think I've ever successfully tamed a juvenile one. I've tried before, but they always die before they get knocked out.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Guess we'll see.
I'm curious to see. Yeah.
So I know, like, you've been kind of posting some funny content on Twitter and different things like that. Your Twitter's pretty funny to look at. I enjoy it every day. So great job. Do you have anything really coming out for Twitter, or is it just kind of, like, what's your plan for Twitter? Or X?
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to call it X, to be honest.
Same.
It's always going to be Twitter to me. Yeah, Twitter is kind of like my second channel almost, in a way. I don't make money from it at all, but it's just fun to, sometimes it's fun to post images or collections of images, like comparisons, or like the process of a thumbnail. Usually post some of those, or just random life stuff, or sometimes it's personal, involved with like school. But yeah, I mean, I'd say Twitter's kind of a pretty wild. It's kind of a wild card.
Okay.
This is my fucking hot bar.
Very random. I schedule anything to come out on there. It's just like random crap outtakes or things that I think people might find fun. But thank you for it. I think it's funny.
I do. I thought it was great.
I'm having like an ooh shiny squirrel moment. For some reason my brain has been like fixated on the lore talks we had earlier, so if I could like be that guy to totally break the pace and bring you back, Ned, to the lore real quick. I have a question for you that's been killing me for a really long time since one of your videos came out.
Sure.
What do you think Yankee said right before he blew up? What do you think he said?
Probably like, see you later, nerd. I mean, I don't know.
Man,
He really didn't want family to be cloned. He was very like, I I don't know, just godhood or like ascending. He didn't like. I mean, I don't know. It's he probably just was like, thanks, buddy. I don't know. It's just something really solemn and dark, to be totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have been fixated on that for a long time, and I feel like it had to have been, I don't know. I feel like it had to be something major for the fact that they talked so much about how Uma fixated on it for so long. I really feel like it had to be something big, and I know that you had touched in one of your videos that like his memory wasn't uploaded right before his memory wasn't uploaded to the point of when that was whispered, so she never like figured that out. But do you think that's going to be a question they're going to answer in Ark 2, or was that one of those little like cliffhangers and then moved on from the story type of thing?
I think I would much more lean towards those kind of just Peter Freeze doing his thing. I don't think it's gonna have any significance in it too. I've definitely seen some theories about Mika. You know, different things with Genesis 2. If Nita is gonna be, if Mika is actually like reincarnated Nita or reincarnated Helen or something. Honestly, I feel like maybe Pat would be more. I'm actually not much of a theorist, contrary to what you might believe. I'm
Yeah.
kind of just like cold hard truth. If I don't know something, I'm like, okay. I don't want
I can
to
respect that. That's fair.
So, you know, I just gotta say this.
Daydream.
Did anybody else see that there was Ninja Turtles in the Monarchy server?
Wait.
It's like, unless this is you just be seeing things, like, I swear there's Ninja Turtles here. I'm gonna send it to you both on your own Discord here. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm finessing, but I think there's Ninja Turtles.
What?
That was from somebody.
I have so many more questions than answers.
Kia on Fire, and it was saying, a wild kind of evening. Monarchy reposted it on Twitter, and there's Ninja Turtles in Ark. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
That is so cursed, man. This is recent?
Yeah, that was posted today.
UTT.
So, okay, there we go. A perfect example of the modding community coming through with something that's going to make watchable content out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean that's so fucking weird. That's good. Yeah, you're right. It's the kind of thing that someone's gonna put like the entire Mario level in ASA or something.
Yep.
You know, with like 3D Mario, maybe. I don't know. Like,
Play the heck out of it.
hopefully we have VR with ASA. That would be cool.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That would be awesome.
You imagine getting chased with
when you play, oh my god, I would lose my mind. Yeah, when you play, could you imagine? Like,
you stupid
is it?
bird.
I've only used virtual reality very briefly, and the few games that I have played have not been like more immersive ones like Ark would be. I think the craziest thing I've done on a VR was like go to a shooting range or something like that. So I'm not too familiar with what it would be like, but I think that it would probably be pretty sketchy.
Unfortunately, the game that I mentioned earlier, Bone Lab, part of why it's so successful is because it was almost entirely, like almost all of the development time went into building one of probably the best VR engine and like SDK. It's built on Unity, but it's probably the best ever created. And it's weird for such a niche game that it exists in, but it's just the physics, the level of physics is absurd, and I think that is part of why Bone Lab is so successful and what may make it difficult to nail down with any other, with trying to make any other VR game as successful, or VR sort of like component or modification for like ASA, which is not native to VR. I think for it to, if they have VR in it, for it to be good, they'd have to have some really good physics. That's very important for VR games, for immersion and stuff.
For any game, physics are super important, but VR games especially, I can imagine. That's gotta be, talk about an art and a science, that's gotta be a pain in the neck for developers to be able to figure the physics out. Because, I mean, high school physics was a pain in the neck, let alone video game physics.
Yeah. I mean, they've been spending about a year, I think, on Bone Lab just ironing out every just perfecting it more and more. Definitely recommend
like
just taking a peek at it if you're interested in VR stuff. It's fascinating.
ass
honestly.
is on fire.
And I put away all my VR stuff like a couple months ago.
Oh gee.
I haven't touched it in probably at least 8 months.
You touch it if Ark came out.
That's fair.
Probably for content, for like
Yeah.
videos, just to try it out and stuff.
That's fair.
Last time it actually started to make me sick,
Oh.
which may have been a medication conflicting with it, but which is just bizarre. But yeah, most of the time it's kind of backward. Most of the time people get kind of nauseous and sick in the beginning of playing VR, and then over time they get used to it. But it was like the complete opposite for me.
Okay.
That had to be even more frustrating, the fact that you like were so comfortable with it and had done it for so long, and all of a sudden woke up one day and were like, whoa.
It's not. That's one of the things that gets in the way most with VR, unfortunately, is accessibility.
I need it
And it's
daytime,
why
so
it's
I can't
not
see the
adopted hugely. It's part of why. I mean, price is another thing. I wish a lot of other people could get that experience because it's really fun.
You see with like technological advances, getting off topic here, but it's a rabbit hole that I want to jump down. With the way technology is advancing and stuff, do you see virtual reality remaining as inaccessible as it is price point wise, or do you think that it's gonna, with the enhancements that we're getting, become a little bit more accessible economically?
I think probably the use of AI is going to help to improve VR a little bit. That is one of the kinds of technologies that has helped with some exponential growth in other areas. And so combining that with VR, I think we've already seen kind of like streaming. We're seeing some VR technologies where like it's able to know where your eyes are looking, so it is able to apply less level of detail. Maybe not in, I don't know exactly what the details were, but it's not my expertise at all. I know that I could probably jump down into that rabbit hole and focus on it, and there's some creators that have really carved out a great niche with that. I think one of them is, I don't remember his name, but he's huge, probably one of the biggest VR creators, and he always just talks about, he's got these flashy thumbnails, like, this is the next huge thing for VR, and it's like every single video. So it's hard to say right now. It's definitely been a hot topic for a while, and it still continues to be.
Hey, you say hot topic and you said AI. How concerned are you as somebody who's familiar with the tech field and familiar with all of these things? How concerned are you for the implications that AI has, as far as how smart it's getting and as far as its implications on the world? You know, I mean, because there's a lot of people debating as to whether or not we should AI.
I think, there's definitely a lot of fear mongering, and I've actually been part of that fear mongering. I did get very obsessed with it when there was a major breakthrough with ChatGPT in March of this year. And for a few months, I was pretty intent on that it was going to solve. But I think I've taken a much more grounded approach and stance on it, and you know, I love using it for entertainment reasons. There's a lot of things that have birthed out of it, like like an ongoing, never-ending 24/7 show where people can donate, and then the words they use are then like used in the episode, just randomly by the AI. Create a lot of sort of bizarre, not safe for work SpongeBob episodes, but yeah, don't look that up. But it's really funny, and you know, I think sometimes part of the charm of AI and why it's fun for entertainment wise is just how funny it is in both what it can actually, the actual genuine humor that it can create, combined with the fact that you're like, oh yeah, a robot made this. That's even funnier. So yeah, it's something I use in day-to-day life, and for content occasionally. I think that there's going to be, you know, it's really hard. You have all these researchers, all these people predicting this or that or whatever. And I think I would take the approach that, like, probably going to kill a lot of people
Oh, I missed.
because of people and how they use it.
Sure.
And harm,
Yeah.
cause a lot of
That's every
suffering
tool.
and a lot of jobs. Yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing as when we built cars. Car accident death rates
no, I missed
rose
completely
when we
then.
invented
Fucking hell,
cars. Who would have guessed?
Go figure.
And again.
So, you know, it's gonna. I know in the real world. I mean, so when I made my business, I started using I forget what they call them, like someone that's basically like they do your taxes for a business, like they
Like
take
a
on
CPA.
clients. CPA, right? Exactly. So I hired a CPA that's like local
please
here
don't
in
say you
the office, and we talked and worked out my taxes for my company. And what's kind of sad is like over the next few months, I'm probably going to end up never needing to work with them again because I can have an AI do that. Which means that for a job like them and for their entire business, they could get phased out in a matter of like 2 years.
Oh, you're fucking gone.
A lot of their clients are probably much older, and so I think a lot of the older generation aren't necessarily going to be as caught up on, oh, you can use AI to do your business taxes. And I haven't even done it yet. I'm just sort of assuming that probably in the next 2 to 4 to 5 to 6 months, I'll probably have just either figured it out myself or had an AI do that alongside it, whatever. So I think the job loss thing is something to look at. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable.
It is, for sure. And unfortunately, human history has shown so many transformations and revolutions, and I think the AI revolution is going to be another one where, yes, some jobs are going to get phased out, but people are going to, for lack of a better term, humans are going to adapt and overcome, and we'll adjust into new fields that are relevant and correlated to what we already did, but are also able to be AI integrated. And you see things like in these video games nowadays, they're talking about, potentially getting smart AIs that can respond to the environment around them, learn and adapt to the way you play the game, and seeing that type of AI integration in Ark would be absolutely game-changing mechanically.
I saw Moist Critical play with some of those. Followed a lot of the research and the material surrounding different games that use that kind of technology, and it's really awesome to see. I mean, it's been a long time since I was lost in a Bethesda game. I haven't played a Bethesda game or a Grand Theft Auto. I feel like there's some games, at least that I've played, that have just had some great NPCs,
hello.
and to have that worked in would bring it to just such a next level, and would just make it so fun to just get lost. I mentioned like D&D. I very much loved Morrowind, the older Elder Scrolls. To have something like Morrowind, but with AI NPCs that are talking to you, that are using like large language models, rather, I would just get so immersed in that. And, it's just awesome. So great.
It sure would be. Well, I think I'm just about out of questions.
Same here.
Jericho, do you have anything else?
No, honestly, I don't got anything else.
Yeah, we went a little off.
Is there anything else?
No, I think that's
awesome.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us. We really appreciate you being here and letting me pick your brain and talk your ear off, man. It was really a pleasure having you.
And no, it's all mine. Thank you for letting me talk so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. I love talking about this stuff, and yeah, this would probably be the second podcast that I've been on. So, I think there was some other guys that were doing. Is this something? If y'all don't mind sharing, is this something you're going to put on YouTube or Spotify or SoundCloud, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're gonna put it on Spotify, and we are gonna put it on YouTube too. But it's just like, honestly, for now, probably it's just gonna be for YouTube anyways. We're not doing like any video really with it, other than it might be just like a little background thing that you just listen. So it's just really gonna be sound right now for everything. But we do eventually plan on being able to, like make videos in the background and like make it more interesting for people eventually, But otherwise, right now, it's really just posted on Spotify, and we'll be posting the audio on YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, folks, you guys, you know the drill at this point. We got a link to the Discord below. Make sure to leave a review for us, subscribe on Spotify, all these things that help with the algorithm, help get us out there and into the ear holes of all of you fantastic little beach bubs.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And I guess that's all I got.
Have you got meat?
Cool.
Have
See
you
you
got
later,
meat?
everyone.